a graduate student. So I'm like, okay, I will just anyway, I'm going to buy it, or maybe I can just borrow from the library and I'm going to read it. That was my plan. And fortunately, I'm also on the TESOL PDBC Council. So I got the opportunity to host to facilitate the sessions, and as a complimentary, I was
That's
gifted the book. So I was so overjoyed. Just want to share this. When I saw this book, most of the time, the scholars and the researchers are into talking about theories and some of the research findings. But for the teachers who are in the ground teaching, they are not really into those theories. They don't want to know more, much about theory, but they are more interested in how they can apply more into the strategies and the teaching methods or the activities that they can use in their classrooms. So I'm originally from Burma. So whenever I discuss with the teachers from my country, and we also host some of the webinars. We have that group, so we hear that they are more into the strategies that they can apply in their classroom rather than learning about research finding or the theoretical concepts.
perfect. Thank you for sharing this.
So
And
that's what I hope to learn from this book.
if you have time, I'll just say I've been involved with the computer assisted language learning intersection for a very long time, interest in technology for a very long time. But my context has recently changed from university to a secondary school level. And so one thing I was interested in is like hopefully there would be some perspectives for other levels. But I mean, it is interesting how tools available in one place or context are not available in another place or context, right? And so
Mhm.
there are things listed that I don't have access to. Anyway, I mean, it's always an interesting thing to find out what's available out there, and then maybe it's possible to ask for access to it or to
Mhm. Mhm.
discuss with the tech people, what can we do?
Of course. Yeah. Thank you, Susan. Okay, let's keep going. Um, okay, with that as a map, let's just zoom into where we are today, chapters 1 and 2. So here we ask the big question, like, what is AI actually doing in our field? And how do we even begin to use it well? So let me walk you through the key ideas, and then I want this to turn into real conversation. Okay, so chapter 1 is called AI in English language teaching, theory, research, and impact. And I know that sounds very academic, but what it's really asking is a very simple question. How did we even get here? So because think about it, our field has been changing for decades. We went from rigid grammar-focused methods where teachers taught and students memorized, all the way to communicative approaches where we started saying, actually, language is about real interaction, real meaning. And those shifts happened very slowly over years, sometimes decades. So teachers had time to absorb, adapt, experiment, and then AI showed up. And it didn't give us any of that time. It just was suddenly there, ChatGPT in November 2022. And then within months, everyone everywhere was talking about it. School districts were like banning it, teachers were panicking and also secretly using it to write lesson plans. And honestly, I completely understand all of it, like every single reaction, because I had all of those reactions too. So, chapter 1 gives us, or at least tries to give us, a foundation. It says, before we talk about what to do with AI, let's understand what it is. And there are a few key things that are worth knowing, and I promise I'll keep this simple. So, the first thing is uh, natural language processing, or NLP, which is basically the technology that lets tools like ChatGPT understand what you're saying and respond in a way that sounds like human. That's the engine behind a lot of what we use in ELT. Then there's automated speech recognition. That's how apps can actually listen to your students speak and then give them feedback on their pronunciation. Then there's machine learning, which is how these tools are getting smarter over time by learning from patterns. And then there is adaptive learning, which is where a tool adjusts in real time to each individual learner's level, not the same content for everyone. Content shifts based on what this person is struggling with right now. And all of these things are already in tools that many of us are either using or have heard of. Grammarly, Duolingo, also speak. These aren't futuristic. They are already in our classrooms. So here's what I found really exciting and also a little bit humbling. The research on these stuff is genuinely impressive. Studies show that AI can support learners across all skills like reading, writing, speaking, listening, pronunciation. Learners make gains, motivation goes up. And one of the things that comes up again and again in research is that anxiety goes down, especially for speaking, because practicing with an AI feels lower stake than performing in front of a human. And for a lot of our learners, that matters enormously. And I really want to sit with this for a second. The chapter is also very honest about what AI cannot do. And this part is just as important. AI often misses the big picture. It's great at catching a grammar error in a sentence, but it's not great at telling you what your whole argument mean. I mean, does it make sense or not? Or your essay lacks a real voice, or that particular student is struggling not just because they don't understand the grammar, but because there's something else going on in their life. And also AI can have biases baked into it because it learned from the data that reflects the real world inequalities in language, in culture, in whose voices got amplified and whose didn't. And AI, no matter how sophisticated it gets, cannot replace the human relationship at the heart of good teaching. That relationship between a teacher who genuinely cares and a learner who feels seen, that is irreplaceable. And chapter 1 really affirms that. And it says AI is powerful, yes, but it is most powerful in the hands of a thoughtful, informed, caring teacher. And that's you. That's all of us in the room. Okay, so that was chapter 1. So before I go to chapter 2, any reactions, anything that matched your experience or didn't? Did anything in that surprise anyone or confirm something you'd like suspected? Anyone?
So I haven't received my book yet. It is in the mail, so I haven't read it yet. Um, but as an ESOL teacher for upper grades, 3 through 5, I have used AI to produce a hard piece of work on a certain proficiency level. And it did allow us to, like, there's a lot of time involved to create those assignments for our students. And I was able to do that so that way they could participate alongside with their English speaking peers. But you're right. When you are using AI, it does miss that real voice, that human voice, that connection with the kids. So I definitely have to keep like rereading and revising and making it specific for that student. So I do agree, but I hate to participate because I haven't read the chapters yet. So that is my experience in the classroom.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, it is iterative. You just analyze the outcome and then revise it and then make it like something that works for your context, your students. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Great.
And I think an ongoing concern is the bias in reading articles, some recent articles too, about how the advice can change according to what AI thinks is the background of the student. Sorry, I can't say the name of the study right offhand, but I did save it somewhere. And my experience too with needing to have really good prompts, because too often when there's not enough information about prompts, then it's like what the student work often looks the same, or some of the ideas are so generic, it doesn't really get to the heart of what wanting them to do. So it does seem like there's this is like a good start, but then it's like we have to go a lot deeper and learn a lot more about it ourselves so that we can make it into a much better tool with the students.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Susan. Yeah, AI can produce all these generic outcomes. They're not applicable, but that's our duty as a teacher to analyze it to make it work for our context. Yes, thank you, Susan. Thank you for sharing that. And we're going to discuss that in detail in chapter 2.
I had a question. I'm not an English language teacher. I'm the associate director of publications for TESOL. So I'm in publishing, and I was interested in something you said about AI not being able to, I think it was assess like voice, right? The student voice. And I'm just curious if, as educators, you have been noticing the voice of your students changing as they use AI.
I think that's a little bit of what I was trying to get at, because if they put in some kind of prompt that they want to know, but it doesn't have creativity or originality.
Mhm.
AI can be great to like walk them through a process, but it's like I have to encourage them to say, ask for a creative solution, or ask for something that's not in the usual. I don't know, trying to think of the wording, but yeah, I mean, you have to go a little bit outside of the box to get something, and then have it play off of their own imagination or creativity, their own critical thinking to get at a better answer.
Great. Okay. Start chapter 2. So this one is called Crafting Prompts for Language Teaching Success, and this is where things get really practical. So after chapter 1 paints this big picture of what AI is doing, especially in our field, chapter 2 basically asks, okay, but how do we actually talk to it? Because here's something that might sound obvious, but actually has really big implications. The quality of what you get out of AI, it totally depends on the quality of what you put in your prompts. I say it in the book this way: the AI output is only as good as the human input. So think about it like this. Imagine you have this new teaching assistant, someone who is incredibly capable, works incredibly fast, never gets tired, and will do pretty much whatever you ask. But here's the thing. They are very, very literal. If you give them vague instructions, you get vague results. If you don't tell them who your students are, what level they are at, what goals of the lesson is, so they'll just make something up. And they are very good at making things up. This is not what you need. That's AI. And that's why prompt engineering matters. Now I know prompt engineering sounds very Silicon Valley, but all it really means is learning how to ask well. And it turns out there's genuine skill to it, and it's actually a skill we as language teachers are uniquely positioned to develop, because we already know how to think about clarity. We already think about audience. We already think about context and scaffolding and purpose. Those are all the things that go into a good prompt. Then chapter 2 walks through a bunch of different frameworks that researchers and educators have developed for this. And across all of them, the same themes keep coming up. Like, be specific, give context, tell AI what role it's playing, and keep refining based on what you get back. It's iterative. You don't just write one prompt and call it done. You try it. You look at what comes back and you adjust it. And from all of that, I developed something called script model, which I designed specifically for English language teachers. Script stands for strategic foundation, context and objectives, responsiveness and inclusivity, interactive engagement, pedagogical alignment, and technology and continuous development. Basically, in one sentence, very simple. Know your strategy, give the context, include everyone, make it active, tie it to real learning goals, and keep refining. That's it. Very simple. So each of those pieces address something I kept seeing missing in the way teachers were using AI. Like, are you connecting this to an actual learning goal? Are you thinking about your students' cultural backgrounds? Are you building in scaffolding for different proficiency levels, specifically in those mixed level classes? Are you going to look at what the AI gives you and actually evaluate it critically instead of just accepting it and using it? And what I really love about chapter 2 and what I hope resonates with you is that it makes the argument that prompt engineering isn't just technical skill. It is pedagogical skill. Why? So the more deeply you understand your learners, the better your prompt will be. Your expertise as a teacher doesn't become less valuable when you use AI. It becomes more valuable because you are the one who knows what your students actually need. There's also a whole section on teaching your students to prompt because your learners they are already using these tools, whether we teach them or not. So why not help them? They can just do it thoughtfully and critically. That to me is AI literacy. That's what preparing our students for, like real world activities and interactions. Okay, I've been talking way too long. I meant this is supposed to be a book club. No. So here's how the rest of this works. So I have 3 questions for each one. I'll share my own honest answer just to get us going, and then I really want to hear from you. So the first question, so this book describes the arrival of AI and ELT as unusually fast compared to past shifts in the field, faster than move from audiolingualism to communicative approaches, for example. So how has that speed shown up in your own experience? Did you feel ready, or did AI kind of sneak up on you? So honestly, with me, it completely snuck on me. And I say that as someone who ended up writing a book about it. All changes in our field give us time, years. Actually, you could attend a conference, read few articles, try one small thing in your classroom, talk to colleagues, and slowly build your comfort level. AI gave us none of that. One semester, it wasn't really on my radar. And then the next semester, my students were using it before I had even figured out what it was. I remember hearing about ChatGPT from one of my students in my ESL class for the first time. And I think that flipped something fundamental. Usually new methods come to us through training, through institutions, top down. This was different. This came bottom up through our students. They were ahead of us. And that's a strange position for a teacher to be in. So if anyone here feels like they're behind, I want to gently push back on that. You're not behind. The timeline itself was unreasonable. No shift in our field has ever asked teachers to adapt this fast. Okay. I'd love to hear your answers.
Well, I may be in an unusual situation, being interested in technology for decades. It didn't seemed like such a huge change. And I was at the time working at a University of Science and Technology. So it was an immediate, we are going to use this. You should use this, or, you have to have reasons why you're not using it, or, change your assessments, change the way it was a wholehearted, we accept this. And so, I mean, I think if you're in a situation where the school provides that kind of technical support, it's really great. And these opportunities like through TESOL to join workshops or, take part in activities will really help. But yeah, there is also that extreme where, within just a few months, like everyone was using it and had expectations of how to use it.
Yes. Yes, it all happened so fast. And the expectations went up really fast. You need to adapt in a very short time.
As for me, it was not a shock just because I was working on my specialist and my degree was instructional technology. So, and I was always interested in technology. So my classroom teacher and I partnered and we worked on our degree together. So we were constantly implementing technology. So we were using AI for instructional purposes, not for the children. The children were not using, they were probably using it at home, but they were not allowed to use it in the classroom. So we didn't have the situation of them getting, used to using AI in the classroom. Um, and I think one of my fears is that for English learners, if they're using AI, they're going to lose, they're not going to progress in their language acquisition as fast because they may become dependent on AI because it's easy for them when they have that resource right there, instead of them working through the process and learning the language and the sounds and being able to pronounce the sounds. So that's one of my fears with AI. And, I'm in elementary, so I know that you, the rest of you are in teaching upper grades, but for me in elementary, they're just not using it yet. Thank you. Thank goodness.
So in my in my opinion, I don't think all of us will be so ready for that. One way or the other, we might be feeling a little bit, how to say, like kind of like left behind in one of the other areas. Even before AI was here, I used a lot of online tools because at the time I remember when ChatGPT and they emerged, I was teaching online class, and I noticed that my students, they were using ChatGPT to submit an essay. So as a teacher who have taught them for a year, I know this is not your writing. But I cannot just accuse them offhand. Hey, I know this is not your writing. I cannot say that. I don't have any evidence. So I just have to think of more, strategic ways to examine if that's really, them who wrote the essay, or are they letting ChatGPT write for them. So the emerge of AI creates of course, like it brings a lot of good things, but at the same time it also creates challenges for the teachers, because if you use technology, for example, I teach adult learners and older students, so I also like using technology in the class most of the time. So I cannot like stop them use technology in the class. So I just want to integrate using technology in the classroom. So it's kind of like more challenging for those type of classrooms and the teachers who handle the classrooms. So yeah, that creates a sort of a challenging situation for the teachers, because we need to think about how to do more vetting It's not because I won't say students want to cheat, but sometimes, they just don't want to be kind of like late in the assignment, or they want to have a good grade. So that's why they have that kind of creative thinking to use AI. So that's one of the challenges that I had and that I have noticed so far.
And I'll add, so in my case, we were encouraged to redo assignments and have class activities that used AI. So we were telling students use AI to do these things, and this is how you do it to use it better. And so it was incorporated. So there wasn't any question about are they using it or not. We knew they were using it, but just trying to, of course, going through the integrity element as well, so that they shouldn't copy and paste. But what are some tools, or how can they use it effectively? So that was quite interesting in my context.
That's interesting, Susan. Actually, this is okay. We already know that they're using it, and the way you let them how to use it, that's the best part. That's AI literacy. Teaching them how to use these tools thoughtfully, responsibly. Okay, as we're running out of time for this session, I'm not going to go through the question 2 and question 3. So, are there any questions in your mind? I mean, I want you to lead the rest of this session.
Just have a quick question. How long did it take for you to write this book, and how did you prepare to be able to publish this kind of book?
2 years, right, Tamika? It was 2 years. Yeah, it took me 2 years. I submitted the introduction chapter and chapter 1, and then I heard back from Tomiko, and I couldn't be happier. Yeah,
I think 2 years is about right.
yeah, exactly 2 years.
So can I ask, with all the rapid changes with AI, what would you want to revise first if there was another edition?
Well, the tools are updating daily. I may add a few other tools, remove some of other tools. I may add a few more studies. Um, I may add a few more practical sections. We already have those, but extend those uh, based on the new data coming out. Yeah, I guess
Can I
that.
ask, um, for the those of you who have read the book, had a chance to read it, would is there anything specific you'd like to see in a revised edition? I imagine that we will have a revised edition of this because, as you mentioned, it advances so quickly, and the book is doing well. So,
I guess I'll be able to answer the question after I finish reading the whole book. Now is a little bit early because I haven't read the upcoming chapters. So just want to finish the book and I'll answer the question.
I guess I got a head start on everybody because I bought it back in March.
right.
Um, I don't recall that there's a companion website.
Oh,
Is
there
that
is.
correct? There is a companion. Okay, so I haven't checked that out. But I mean that might be a good place to uh have some updates for things, because I mean I struggle with, oh, I've used this tool. Is this a great tool? Use it in class, and then the next week it's costs money, or there's some other change to it. And so if there was some, and I know, which is incredibly hard to do, Sam, to keep up with all these things, but now I realize I need to go find the companion website. So
If you look at the first page of the book,
I'm sorry.
the title page of the book, you'll see the URL for the companion page.
I see it now. Yes. Sorry that I missed that before, but yes.
That's okay. And not that I'm taking this opportunity to like sell things to you, but TESOL does offer the ELT Toolkit, which is an online resource. It lists about 150 tech tools, and each tool has an entry. It tells you how to use it, tells you the pricing, it tells you like how to use it in your classroom for different topics, and it's searchable and filterable, and that might be something you'd be interested in looking at too.
All
I
right, I
think one
want to.
thing, oh, I was going to say with the Appendix A, very helpful to have the different categories. But I did wonder, like with writing, it's writing evaluation and not just like writing. I don't know, it's probably hard to have lots of different categories, but I wonder if things could be broken up a little bit more with some of the functions. Does
You
that make
mean
sense? Do you understand what I'm?
assessment and feedback tools? Like,
So in Appendix A, you've got the functional, so there's needs analysis, goal setting, lesson planning, text analysis, then it's writing evaluation, and uh, and then reading comprehension. So, I mean, writing evaluation to me is maybe more of a teacher thing, or maybe a student self-assesses. But what about for writing, a tool for writing? You have a listening section, a speaking and pronunciation section, a reading comprehension, and then writing evaluation. So it seemed like having a writing column, just pure like how to improve your writing skills. What are the tools that help with writing skills? Not the evaluation part. Does that make sense to you, Tim?
it does. I think we could have renamed it to writing and writing evaluation because it includes both. I mean, in chapter 5, reading and writing, there are lots of tools introduced that are just used for as an assistant for writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm one of the people, I did go through all the tools that were listed there. I did read the chapters because I mostly teach writing,
Thank you.
but that was one thing I just wondered about when I was
Mm,
trying to quickly find some information.
okay.
It said evaluation, yes.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing this, Susan.
That's a good point. Yes. I
Yeah.
remember we went back and forth quite a bit on that appendix and what categories to include because it's hard to narrow things down so much without making things overwhelming.
Sure. Good, very useful, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I think we're just about out of time. Thank you everyone for coming and engaging and discussing with us. I have listed in the chat the other sessions, but if you go into my TESOL, you'll see them there as well, and that's where you can register. Please do register, and we'd love to see you at the next session. And thank you so much, Sam, for facilitating this kickoff session.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for reading the book, for showing up. It means a lot. Thank you.
All
Take
right.
care, everyone. Happy teaching.